Going to start competition. First team on the platform, Robert and Matej, 10 meters. For execution, 7.5, 7, 7.5, 7. For synchro, 8, 8, 8.5, 8.5, 8.5. Lieke en Lina, 7.5 meters. Execution 6, 5, 5.5, 6.5. For synchro 5.5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 6. Eindhoven and Lars, 10 meters. For execution, 7, 7, 6, 7. For synchro, 7, 7, 7.5, 6.5, 7. Katarina and Magnolia, 5 meters. For execution, 5, 5, 5.5, 6. For synchro, 7, 6, 6, 7, 7. Miriam Malla, 7.5 meters. Execution 5.5, 5, 6.5, 5.5. For synchro 5.5, 6, 6.5, 6, 5.5. Round 2. Robert and Matej. Execution 7.5, 7, 5.5, 6. For synchro 8, 7, 8, 7, 7. meters. For execution, 4.5, 4.5, 5, 5.5. For synchro, from all judges, 5.5. Eindhoven and last, 10 meters. For execution, 6, 4.5, 8, 8.5. For synchro, 7, 7, 7.5, 8, 7.5. Catharina and Claudia, 5 meters. For execution, 5.5, 5, 6, 5.5. For synchro, 6, 5.5, 6, 5.5, 6. Mary and Noah, 5 meters. For execution, 5, 5, 5.5, 5.5. For synchro, 5, 5, 6, 6, 6. Round 3. Robert and Nasha, 10 meters. For execution, 6.5, 6, 8, 8.5. For synchro, 7.5, 8, 7.5, 7.5, 7.5. Lieke en Lina, 5 meters. execution, 5.5, 5, 6.5, 5.5. For synchro, 5.5, 5, 6, 6.5, 6. Ivan and Lars, 7.5 meters. Execution, 5.5, 4.5, 7, 7. For synchro, 7.5, 7, 6.5, 7, 7. Katarina and Magnolia, 5 meters. Execution, 5, 5.5, 6, 5.5. For synchro, 5, 5, 6, 5, 6. Mary and Mala, 7.5 meters. Execution, 5, 5, 5, 5. For synchro, 5.5, 5.5, 6, 5, 5. Round 4. Robert and Maciek, 10 meters. Execution, 7.5, 5.5, 8, 7.5. For synchro, 7.5, 7.5, 8, 7.5, 7.5. Liga and Lina, 5 meters. Execution, 5, 5, 4, 4. For synchro, 4.5, 4.5, 5.5, 4.5, 5. Ivan and Lars, 10 meters. 6.5, 6, 8, 8. For Synchro, 7, 6.5, 7, 6.5, 6.5. Catharina and Magnolia, 5 meters.
Give it to me, I'm worth it. Baby, I'm worth it. I'm worth it. Give it to me, I'm worth it. Give it to me, I'm worth it.
For execution, 4.5, 5.5, 5, 5.5. For Synchro, 3, 3.5, 4, 3.5, 4. Mary and Mama, 7.5 meters. For execution, 5, 4, 5.5, 5. For Synchro, 5, 5, 5.5, 5, 5. Round 5. Robert and Maciek, 10 meters. For execution, 3.5, 4, 7, 6.5. For Synchro, 5, 5.5, 5, 6.5, 5. Lieke en Lina, 7.5 meters. For execution, 5.5, 5.5, 6, 6. For Synchro, 6.5, 5.5, 6, 7, 6. Ivan and Lars, 10 meters. For execution, 7, 6.5, 8, 7. For Synchro, 8, 7, 7.5, 8, 7.5. Catharina and Magnolia, 5 meters. 5, 6, 5.5, 6. For Synchro, 4.5, 4.5, 5, 5, 3.5. Mary and Mala, 7.5 meters. For execution, 5, 4.5, 6, 5.5. For Synchro, 4.5, 5, 5, 5.5, 5. Round 6. Hold. And attack. 10 meters. For execution, 8, 7.5, 8, 8. For Synchro, 8.5, 8, 8.5, 8.5, 8.5. This was the last live in this competition. Thank you judges, thank you secretaries. I would like to ask the finalists for the girls A 1 meter board competition to report outside of the judges room for presentation. So finalists of the girls A competition on 1 meter board, please report at the outside of the judges room.